Welcome to Spirituality Through Meditation. My name is Brian Higbee, and today I'd like to speak to you about miracles. I'm going to run through some quotes from a wonderful book called A Course in Miracles. This is produced by ACIM, Foundation for Inner Peace. Again, I'm not endorsed by any publisher, author, or motivational speaker that I mentioned in this podcast. I came across this book through Alex Ferrari's Next Level Soul. He had been interviewing someone who teaches this course, and I purchased the book and started reading it and found it quite interesting. And I wanted to read some passages and maybe elaborate on them regarding miracles. So here we go. So the first one is, miracles are all the same. No one miracle is greater or more difficult than any others, and this is because they all come from Source or love. Miracles are only relevant to express Source. Miracles are habits and should become involuntary. Now, this can happen through daily breath work and meditation. Will allow you to put yourself in that alpha state. And if you remember, the alpha state is the state of full awareness, fully being in the perpetual present, not thinking about the trauma of the past or the fear of the future. It's being perpetually present, and miracles can happen when you're operating in that alpha state. Miracles are everyone's ability. But to create them, you need to purify yourself or learn the tools to connect to Source. Source is the key. Source is love. Source manifests miracles through your desire for change. Again, this goes back to what we discussed in the past when we talked about visualizations, wanting to change your behavior, wanting to change your life. This happens when you start implanting manifestations into your subconscious realm of mind through positive visualizations. You change your subconscious mind, you change your personality, and your personality dictates your actions. Okay, so the next one, miracles are a kind of exchange of energy through meditation, connecting to the quantum realm or Source or the superconsciousness. There it is again. Miracles can be achieved through meditation. Prayer is the medium of miracles. It is a means of communication between the created and the creator. Again, prayer is just a form of meditation, reconnecting to Source, reconnecting to that super consciousness or the quantum realm or the Godhead, or God if you want to refer to it as that. Meditation allows you to drop into that subconscious mindset and directly link to Source, which then has a physical effect in the material world. Miracles are thoughts, and thoughts are desires. When dropped into the subconscious mind, you can reconnect to Source. Again, this is repeating meditation, visualization, reconnecting to Source. That's what miracles are. Miracles are both beginnings and endings, and so they alter the temporal order of things. They are always affirmations of rebirth, past and present, and thus release the future. What that essentially means to me is that through deep diving into your subconscious mind, you are addressing past traumas. And in the present time, you are adjusting those traumas through positive visualizations and techniques that will allow you to then alter your actions in the future. But remember, everything is in the perpetual present. Memories are in the past. Trauma is in the past. We only resurface those traumas when we think about the past. When we're in the perpetual present, those traumas don't exist. So remember that. Miracles are truth without truth. they deteriorate into agenda-based biases, which are uncreative and useless in the mind. So this is essentially talking about the ego taking over. Because when we first arrive from our mothers, we are pure consciousness. We are pure energy beings in this material world. Because energy and consciousness wraps itself in matter. And that's what we are as newborns. It isn't until we start learning from the environment around us, teachers, priests, everybody around us, our parents, our siblings, that's when we are conditioned out of that pure knowing, that pure consciousness. And it's our job in our lives to circle back around to what it was like to purely know, to stop thinking, because thoughts have no meaning. Thoughts are illusions, and they're created by the ego. The ego can be a wonderful partner. It can be wonderful. It helps get us through the day. But the ego is the thing that creates duality in this material world, or the illusion of duality. It's the thing that creates separation, racism, bias, bigotry, war. It's the ego that causes that. It's the ego unchecked that causes that. So if you can keep your ego in check and you follow the truth of the knowledge, knowing, as opposed to thinking, miracles can happen. Miracles transcend the body. They are sudden shifts into invisibility away from the body. So then again, is what we're talking about when we're talking about meditation. Because meditation is about displacing your mind from your material body. So it's going back into that all-knowing state of source. Again, to turn, this is referring to the meditation process. Miracles make minds one in God. Meditation connects you to source. Again, all of these quotes can come back to the same basic thing, which is miracles happen at source level, meaning we deep dive into the subconscious mind through meditation. When we've reached that subconscious mind through the theta state, we're in that gamma theta range, we are connected to source. And again, you won't feel your body at this point. You are just a mind floating. And if you're just a mind floating, you are not subject to the five senses of the body: taste, touch, smelling, hearing, and seeing. Once that's been removed from you, you're no longer thinking, because those five senses, which are wonderful things, they cause you to think. The minute you think, you are no longer in source. You are no longer in knowing. You are now in this elusive state of delusion, which is what the ego creates. It creates a delusional state. And that ego operates on specific vibrational frequencies that are passed down from our parents, that alter over time through environmental conditioning. And that environmental conditioning dictates our personality, which then dictates our behavior. So like I said before, deep diving into the subconscious mind is the key, and miracles are a result of that. We could talk about any subject: trauma, fear, love, aggression. All of that is either changed or amplified based on meditation practices. Miracles are part of an interlocking chain of forgiveness, which, when completed, ends in atonement. You can atone for every bad thing you did in your life. You can atone personally in your heart first, and that starts by diving deep into your subconscious, changing this, forgiving yourself, and then atonement comes. And atonement is miracle personified. Miracles represent the freedom from fear, atoning is undoing the traumas of the past. The undoing of fear is an essential part of the atonement process. And this is miracles personified. And again, meditation is the tool. Miracles restore the mind to its fullness by atoning for the lack that was established at birth. When you were born, you were a perfect little entity. You had knowledge. You knew. You didn't have to learn anything. As we get older, we unlearn the truth of what knowing is through the illusion of the ego. And everybody has one. And everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a frequency they're operating on. And that frequency, in some respects, is a toxicity to your true state of knowing and purity, which is what you were when you came out of your mother. And our whole life is spent trying to re-achieve that purity, that full knowledge without other people's agendas being stacked on top of us through their ego. You know? So miracles are essentially the process of meditation, which allows you to rewrite your life's consciousness by rewriting the subconscious paradigm. This allows you to channel energy in a specific vibrational way that will change the material world we live in. So just remember this. We all start as energy. In order to self-actualize, that energy has to wrap itself up with matter. That matter dictates, or to a certain extent, has a result in the material world. But it all starts from energy and consciousness. Energy and consciousness dictates your material existence. Ego plays a huge part in agenda-based learning. We all come from Source, which is all-knowing. We have no questions in Source. We have no definition in Source. It is just all-knowing. It's not until we are birthed into these material bodies that the ego kicks in. And the ego says this, and the ego says that, and the ego makes plans, and the ego runs countries and governments and businesses and wars. Break out of that ego and keep it in check. The alpha state of consciousness is where your ego is in check, where your actions are under control, where you're not just in the beta state of reactive behavior. This alpha state is completely achievable through meditation, because meditation takes you back to Source. It takes you back to all knowledge, knowing, pure knowing. It's not a fabrication of the ego. It doesn't have anything to do with agendas. It is pure everything. It's pure knowing. And quite frankly, it's pure love. Every near-death experiencer, every channeler, and most yogis that I've heard, actually I would say all yogis that I've seen interviewed, all talk about how Source is love. Light of Source is pure love. It just is. And quantum physics is now catching up to what yogis have been saying for thousands of years. Scientists are now agendizing, if that's a word, what yogis have known as freedom forever. They're putting their name on them. They're stamping They're winning the Nobel Prize for proving that the quantum realm exists when yogis and meditators have known it's existed for thousands of years. Thousands of years. This is not a new thing. This is not a new revolution. You know? It's not, it's been here. You just have to tap into it because it's inside you. You need to break the beta state through meditation. And I've expressed my meditation process in the past, but I'll say it just to end this video quick. How do I meditate? How do you meditate? This is how I do it. And I'm a specific person, so I operate on a specific frequency, so this works for me. It may not work for you, but there are endless supplies of YouTube videos out there with people who have no agenda other than to help you, who will tell you how it works. I lie down in my bed, which is comfortable. I have headphones, Bluetooth headphones I put on. I tune in a specific YouTube channel at a specific frequency. And we've talked about frequencies in the past. Different frequencies have different healing powers. And I find there's this wonderful book my wife got me for Christmas this past year. And it's Project 369. And again, I'm not endorsed by any of these books or these writers or anything. But in this book, on page 44, there's a list of frequencies and the healing powers of those frequencies. If you go back to one of my earlier podcasts, I think it's the one that's listed as 2024. It's a list of, I think, 5 different frequencies, and it has those individual tones, and I mention what each frequency does. So go back and listen to that podcast, 2024, because there's a podcast called Spirituality Through Meditation on 2024, and then there's one that's just 2024. And I believe it's the 2024 one that has just the pure tones of these different frequencies. So I tune that in, I lay down. I do have a mantra that I use. It's I'm, Na, Ma. Makes no sense. Mantras aren't supposed to make sense. But it's a focal point for your consciousness so that all of the invading thoughts of the ego that come in as you close your eyes and everything from your past, everything, all the fears from your future, all that stuff starts piling in. The mantra helps keep them away. It's like a cloak of invisibility where they can't touch you. They can't see you. They don't even know you're there. They'll come in for a little bit, they'll see that you're not there, and they'll go bother somebody else. So follow the mantra. I usually put a timer on my phone for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, depending on how much time I want to take that day, and I start exploring my consciousness. Now, that was one thing. Another thing that I started watching the other day, because I have a very close person in my life who has ADHD, and I've been trying to get her to meditate, and it's kind of tough because with ADHD, it can be difficult to concentrate. But there was this one video I watched about meditating with ADHD that was extremely helpful, and I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was a short 20-minute video that I sent her, and it was all about frequencies that people with ADHD are more prone to not just lying there with their thoughts, but listening to specific frequencies that help tune their consciousness. And one of the mantras that they mention is which is AUM. And you repeat it like 33 times, and it resets your energy, your chi. And that's another technique. But I highly, highly recommend, if you are out there and you're listening to this, you are probably more than likely a light worker. You are one of those people who were born into this generation to help service mankind, to bring us out of the darkness, to make us self-aware that we are spiritual energy beings wrapped up and cloaked in a matter world. So do your due diligence. Help the human race. This is it for this episode. I'll talk to you next week.